Hello, everyone. Welcome to AU4H Radio Real Talk. We're talking about child abuse and the mental health connection here tonight. Glad to be here. My name is Laurie Smith, and I'm here with my sisters, my besties, Donna, Lee Roberts, and we're glad to be here tonight. Hello, sissies.
Hi, Laurie. Hi, Lee.
Yeah, this is an important topic we're talking about tonight. It's such an issue. It has been for a long, long time. Child abuse and its repercussions and the mental health connection. As a survivor of abuse, I know firsthand about this topic tonight, and so anybody who's been through any kind of trauma, can definitely identify. So hopefully you'll get something out of this for everybody who's here and listening and joining us tonight. We're glad to have you. And there's been a lot going on. April was Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month in the United States, basically kind of around the world, sort of. Everybody knows about it pretty much. So we were busy doing lots of stuff for that. And I know Donna had an event in her area, and it was May 1st, and it was like a AU4H, Advocacy United for Humanity fundraising event that they had in her area there. And I thought you might want to just give us an update on how that went.
Sure. It was a great event. It was a great day. We actually celebrated on May 1st because it fit everybody's schedule a little better. What we did was we had a basket raffle, and we chanced off 38 baskets, and we had door prizes, and we gave away over 50 prizes. Everyone come out. They showed their support. Everyone had a great day. We had food and drinks, and you should have seen me making candy cotton for the kids. I come home, it was in my hair and my ears. But all in all, it was a great day. We raised a lot of money for a good cause. It's going to go towards our Community Kids Watch program, and that is our main program we're focusing on this year due to the fact that so many kids are in need and suffering. But like I said, I am actually blessed by all the people that come out, and I'm very grateful and thankful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like you were saying that it was a good turnout, and it was a good event. And for all the people that were part of it and went out and participated, we really appreciate it and thank you. And for all the people that helped to put that event on.
Oh yes,
and the people that donated, the prizes and
Laurie,
donated stuff.
We were really blessed because we had the most amazing sponsors. We had to buy basically next to nothing because so many people supported us, so many area businesses. I was actually shocked by the number of businesses because I thought we would get a few, but not as many as we did. And I was really blown away by the community support here. I always wonder how many people in the area actually support what we do, and I know when someone's in need, they always know who we are, and we're the first people they reach out to. But it seems like when no one's in need, they kind of forget about you or who you are or what you're doing. It's easy to forget until you need something. Yeah. And I never look at it that way because I always think, I myself, when things are going good, I don't look for negative things, but I was really surprised by, like I said, the number of people that come out, the area businesses that supported us. I mean, I'm so grateful. I don't even have words to say how grateful I am because as the people kept coming in the door, it was like, I cannot believe we were making this much of an impact in the community that they are just supporting us to the max. And it was a great day. And I am grateful to the sponsors, the volunteers. We had a small team, but each one of them, they gave it 110%. And we went for 6 hours. It was a really long day. We actually got there at like 10 in the morning. We started setting up. I don't think I got home till 10 that night. But I got home and I was exhausted. But no, we had a really great day. And like I said, I am grateful for everyone that came out, everyone that supported us, the sponsors. It was just an all in all great day. And I'm grateful. Very grateful.
That's very cool. Thanks for giving us an update on that because I really wished I could have been there. I know Lee We both wish that we could have been there in person to be part of that. And
I wish we
because
could have too.
yeah,
It would have
we
been nice.
appreciate it. We do. We're not there to tell people that, but we really do appreciate everybody who supported, who does support us, and support our work, and um, you know, helps us to do what we're doing. So we really appreciate that. That's very, very awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And we had an event ourselves that we were invited to. That was last Tuesday. It was the for April Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. It was the Hope Collaborative Riverside Family Services webinar workshop that out of Riverside, California. And we were invited, AU4H Radio, us ladies here, we were invited to speak at their webinar and actually do this workshop. So that was an amazing time. And I mean, I really appreciated just being able to tell my story and to share with people, how hard it is for children who are being abused, and when they don't get help, and there's, even with social, like the CPS, Child Protective Services involved, our families slip through the cracks, which this is common.
Yes.
It doesn't happen. And so, it's just really glad to be a voice for all survivors, really, and for victims, who didn't make it. And as we all have been for many years, advocating to stop and prevent child abuse. And it was just really an awesome time to be there to share that with you guys. And it was like, yeah, one more time to do this, and to hopefully make a difference. So it was an amazing event, and we're just thankful to Stephanie and her team at Hope Collaborative, who made that possible for us to actually do that workshop. So that was awesome. It was great. So
It was. It really was. It was really nice to be on there and actually share, and it was great to have the feedback because, we do so many things and a lot of times we don't get feedback. And it was really great to know that the people really enjoyed what we do, what we had to say, and we encouraged them. And that's a great thing.
Yeah, it was. And, it's just really such an honor to be asked to do that from another not-for-profit,
Yes.
to invite us to be part of that. I think that's just amazing. So that was a great event. So there's been lots happening, lots going on. We've been busy. And
Very busy.
mhm. So, that's good. that's our aim. That's our goal. So that's some of the latest news that we have. And tonight we thought, well, this May is the Mental Health Awareness Month. And so that's our focus for this month. And we're going to, tonight we're going to talk about child abuse and the mental health connection. I know myself as a survivor of abuse, I've had so many problems in my life, all the way up, growing up abused, and and then as a teenager, and then as a young adult, and then as a grown woman trying to make it in this world, because of the abuse that I suffered, caused me a lot of problems. A lot of problems, and it's been like. It's kind of like walking a minefield. I don't know where the mines are, and I'm carefully stepping and trying to make my way through this minefield that's my life. And every now and then I hit a mine, and it explodes. And it's hard to deal with. These things are really hard to deal with. I know as a survivor of abuse, I've done lots of reading into the issues, what these issues are because of the trauma that I suffered as a child, and so that I can get help with it. I never did go see a counselor or therapist, but I have had actually a few, not a lot, I would say, but a handful of therapists and counselors that have talked to me through the years, and since I started my healing journey, and that was very nice and very helpful. I never really did do traditional therapy. I went group counseling instead, like group support, because I really felt safer in a group system, like a situation. Safety in numbers for me. I don't do well with one-on-one. So yeah, I didn't trust a counselor or therapist, especially when I first started my healing journey. Now I would. I'd be okay with it. But when I first started my healing journey, I couldn't do that. There was no way. So I did group support, and that was wonderful. It was very, very helpful to get me started on the road to recovery from years and years of just, never having really dealt with the issues, never dealing with my own mental health and well-being, because of the abuse that I suffered and the psychological trauma that I went through as a child. And both of my parents were mentally ill. They were diagnosed mentally ill. Um, that in itself is hard to come from, being born and brought up by mentally unwell people. My dad was borderline schizophrenic as well as borderline personality disorder. They were diagnosed at the time when they were arrested on child abuse charges. They had to go to court-ordered psych evaluations, and my mom was diagnosed at the time manic depression, which is now they changed the name of it over the years to bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
So and suicidal ideation. Both of my parents were suicidal. But my mom had suicidal ideation, but my dad was suicidal. He actually used to try to kill himself. And he also had attempted some familicide where, you kill the family and then kill yourself, right? So it was very hard, very, very hard to grow up in that. That's why I speak publicly about it, because for me, that was my safety. That was my way of saying, I can't carry this load anymore. I'm speaking out. I'm telling it. I'm telling the world. I'm telling the world what happened.
Yeah.
And instead of one or two people, man, I want everybody to know. It's my safety mechanism, because growing up like that was a nightmare. And I really want people to understand what it is for a child to grow up in a situation where you trust no one, because there's no one to trust. I couldn't trust my mother. I couldn't trust my dad. I couldn't trust my siblings. And who do you trust? Growing up in that, I didn't trust teachers. I didn't trust anybody. So, I trusted my peers, the kids on the street around me, my friends. I did trust them. And, it was hard. And then late as an adult to try to navigate, after the aftermath of growing up like that, very difficult. So, it's so, so difficult for people. I know it is. And the issues are that, I'm just one person willing to talk about it. But, if you do this, I know, Donna, you've got some information to bring out about that, about what this actually does and what a real problem it is for our society, how it affects so many people. So, yeah, if you want to give that information, that'd be great.
Well, I don't think that a lot of people understand that mental health is actually part of our overall health and our well-being. And whether it's psychological, emotional, or social well-being, it affects how you think, how you feel, how you act. And it also determines how you can handle stress, how you relate to others, and the healthy choices that you make in your life. Mental health is important at every stage of your life, whether it's from childhood to being an adult. There's no real single cause for mental health. It more ranges from trauma, like history of abuse, domestic violence, witnessing violence or domestic violence, chronic conditions such as chronic pain, chronic illnesses, someone that may have cancer, drugs, alcohol, loneliness, isolation. And then there's a lot of people that are just really have chemical imbalances, and that weighs on them heavily, and I did take a look at the stats today, and I was actually shocked that so many people suffer from mental illness. And it actually stated that 50% of all people will be diagnosed with mental illness at one stage in their life. And I was shocked by that number. That just seems insane. Like, it's so many people affected by it, and you don't even realize it. But it also said that 1 in 5 Americans will suffer, and also 1 in 5 children will develop mental illness throughout their lifetime. And that's sad when you think about it. And a lot of people that we have worked with over the past, I have said to them about mental illness, and what they can do to kind of help themselves. And we always suggest counseling, or therapy or group therapy, as you had said. But also, I tell them that, you have to feel good about yourself and you have to try to make yourself feel good. And I have told them to do little things from like writing little notes and putting on the refrigerator, writing little notes on the mirror saying, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am special, I matter, I count. And
Yeah.
honestly, a lot of times it's the little things that make the biggest difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for myself, I can speak that is absolutely true. And I talked about that with my survivor community on One Child Abuse Survivor to Another on my YouTube channel. I mean, I'm always kind of talking about that because that was really a big part of my recovery was to, in order to start to change the way I felt about myself because the abuse, all the abuse that I suffered as a child I had this picture of myself that was it wasn't right. It was it was damaged. It was like I needed to change the way I saw myself. I needed to change the way that I saw life. Um, growing up abused, life was bad. It was horrible. Yeah, the violence and the trauma. Then as a teen, it was still going on. So my life was violent and traumatic then too, and just not doing well, doing drugs, to escape the situation and also to be more destructive to myself, Um, so I had to learn how to see myself differently, and I did a lot of self affirmations and a lot of that positive self image. That I have to be okay with myself.
Yeah.
No matter, apart from what I went through, it's kind of like, okay, who am I today, sitting here right now? At the end of the day, I have to be okay with myself. I was actually talking about that on my show today earlier.
You do
And,
though. You have to see yourself in a positive light because it takes a toll on how you see yourself. And a lot of people don't realize that. And people get feeling down and low, and just the little pick me ups make you feel so much better. And, seeing yourself in a positive light, that makes a huge difference. And I know a lot of people, like they're socially awkward due to the fact that, they don't know how to react in front of other people. They get nervous, anxiety, and a lot of it is depression, and that plays part of our mental illness, as well. So,
yeah, that's right. And um, that's very true. As far from the survivors that I've ever spoken with, and from material and books that I've read, and the material out there on the web, on the internet, that so many do suffer from anxiety, from depression, PTSD. It's quite common for trauma survivors, and anybody who's survived any kind of trauma. It doesn't even have to be abuse related. I mean, we're talking about the child abuse mental health connection here tonight. But the issue is that trauma of any kind can leave a person with PTSD and all of these really horrible things that they have to try to live with and to deal with and to get over if they ever do overcome it. That's the issue. It's very, very difficult. And, I realized that I could manage without, meds. I really felt that I didn't need to go see a clinical doctor because of the abuse. Because at the age of 42, when I finally decided to get help and stop this whole self-injuring thing, and to start working towards a healthy lifestyle and a healthier mental wellness, mental well-being, I realized at that point that I needed to make better choices for myself, so I didn't need to be on medication. But some people do, and there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that.
No, there's not.
No. It's like whatever you need to do for, if you're a survivor out there and you're listening to us talking here, and I know Lee will be talking too, but if you're listening, there's no shame in any of this stuff.
No.
Because the shame does not belong to us. The shame, especially if you were abused, the shame belongs to the abuser. not to
Yes,
the
it
victim.
does.
So, if you do need medication or, something like that, so that you can have a good life, there's no shame in that. Um,
No,
that's great. Or if you do need to see a therapist or a counselor and not do group support, whatever you need to do, whatever we need to do or I need to do, so that I can have a good life and be
yes,
mentally sound and mentally well, that's what I need to do. So I started to work on a lot of stuff at the age of 42 when I started my healing journey. And I mean, yeah, I had to do all that stuff, go through and look at the issues and what had caused me to feel the way that I did. And, really delve into it. I did a lot of work. I mean, it's taken me years and years to do this. Hopefully, it wouldn't take somebody that long, but it did take, sometimes it does. I mean, it takes as long as
it
it
does.
takes. So,
There's no limit on the amount of time that you can take to heal. I mean, it can
yeah,
be short time or it can be long term. It's whatever works best with you, how you feel and how you recover.
yeah, that's right, because we're all different.
Yeah,
And
everybody's different. And a lot of people, they put a time limit on something or they timestamp it. And it's like, you can do that, but there's a lot of people that, it takes longer to heal, or even death and grief. Um, in death, there's
yeah,
people that they take death really easy. And then there's people like me that like, it takes a long time for me to be comfortable with understanding that someone that I love is now gone. And there's no shame in that.
no, that's right. That's exactly right. Because like I was saying, we're all different and we all handle things differently, right? And so I think it's just a matter of learning how to work through these things. Um, and if we need clinical help, then get it. If we need group support, get it. You know, um,
Well, we have worked
because
with survivors, and a lot of them, like, they don't want to go to counseling because they're embarrassed or they're ashamed. And I always tell them, it's you don't have to bear the shame. Your abuser needs to bear that shame. They did that to you. There's
yeah,
no shame in recovery or getting help of any kind.
that's right. That's exactly right. And it's scary at first. Now I know this because when I first started my healing journey, and back in 2007 roughly, I didn't do really any work in it until about 2009, 2008, 2009, right in there. But once I was actually a little bit scary to join those groups. I had never done anything like that before, to towards my healing journey, and I joined an anonymous support group, and it was scary. I have to admit, I literally was shaking doing this because I was thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna have to. This was before I went public with my stuff. Um,
It's hard.
I was just like, oh, yeah, like because I knew I was gonna have to face all this horrible stuff to do this healing journey, and a lot of times people just feel like I can't do it. I can't do it. And I say, to everybody out there who's listening, who's a survivor of abuse, only you can make that decision for yourself. You have to make the best decision for yourself. For me, I knew that I needed help and I needed to reach out because I had suicidal ideation most of my life, from the age of 10, really. And so I knew I wanted help to live. And I thought, if I'm gonna get over this stuff, I'm going to need a helping hand because obviously I cannot do it by myself. I just can't do it. So for me, I had to reach out and get help, and for others, they'll stay silent their whole life and they'll never tell anybody they were abused and they'll just suffer in silence, but that's what they need to do. So it's no shame in that either. It's kind of what you need. Only you can make that decision if you're listening to this and you're a survivor of abuse. You have to make that choice and that decision for yourself. For me, I knew that I was most likely going to end up committing suicide if I didn't reach out and get help. And I thought, this has just got to stop. Not only was I abused as a child, but then I go ahead and carry on this suicidal ideation to the age of 42 because of the abuse. I mean, I knew why I was doing it. It's because I grew up in this horrific situation, and I had a lot of PTSD. I had a lot of flashbacks. I would say it was PTSD because I look at what PTSD is all about, and I'm like, I was experiencing a lot of that. So, I had intrusive flashbacks that would just happen. I'd be at work, and all of a sudden I'm back. I'm sitting at my desk, but I'm not at my desk anymore. I'm being abused, literally, and I could feel I was actually sitting. I was, it was like going back in time, and these flashbacks were horrible. And once I started actually doing work to heal, doing the healing journey process, um, those stopped, and I was able to manage quite well. Now I don't have flashbacks. I have memories, but they're not those intrusive flashbacks. And so, it's gotten better, a lot better. But I had to do the work, to make that, to get better. I literally had to put time in, a lot of time. It doesn't happen overnight, I don't think, for most people, you know. So it's hard, very, very hard.
It's very
It
hard.
just, people's lives. Like, I mean, my brothers were, the whole child abuse, mental health, connection that we're talking about here tonight. And my own family. I mean, I saw so much horrible stuff, and it happened even with my siblings, and the troubles and the problems that they had later in life as adults because of it. They did jail time, they did prison time, they were drug users, heavy drug users, not, you know, casual drug users. They couldn't do life. They literally could not do
It's
life.
hard to cope.
It's very hard to cope. And one of my brothers, the one who sexually abused me, he was diagnosed at the time when my parents were brought up on child abuse charges, because they did psych tests on the whole family. He was diagnosed as well, bipolar, and I don't know what else, but he was using heroin at a very young age. I mean, he was a heavy duty drug user and also mentally unwell. He lived on the streets and ate out of garbage cans for years. And another one of my brothers did prison time. Actually, two of my brothers did prison time. The mental health, child abuse connection, it is, I mean, I've seen it in my own family. So when I see the stats, I'm like, I totally understand this stuff because that's how I grew up. It costs society it's a huge cost on society. And it's just so sad because my brothers never got help, even though, they went through the prison system. All of them actually were in jail at some point. They could have got help, and they were offered help many times, but they couldn't do it. And two of my brothers ended up killing themselves, taking their own lives, and not at the same time, like years apart. But I lost two brothers to suicide. One to like a murder. He was killed. And so, it's horrific what this stuff does to people. And it would be a wonder to me if somebody who suffered abuse as a child could actually come out unscathed. It's even people who think that they're doing great have troubles. Not all of us suffer from heavy duty mental illness or unwellness because we were abused as children. That's obvious. The issue is that it's hard to come through trauma like that without some scars, whether it's external scars on the body or whether it's internal scars on the heart and the mind. I know Lee's going to talk about the mind, and what child abuse does to the brain.
There's so much I could relate to what you were sharing, Laurie, with the suicidal ideations and the self-harm. I want to share something first, but 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year, and
Yeah.
50% of all lifetime mental illnesses begins by age 14, 75% by age 24, with suicide being the second leading cause of death among young people and young adults aged 10 to 34. There's,
Sad.
when I think about the
So
deaf
sad.
community, those numbers, the deaf community, deaf children are at an exponentially greater risk for abuse, for um, lack of resources. We need the resources of not only available but accessible for those who are deaf and hard of hearing, because it's very difficult to get help, and it's even harder, like I've shared before, for someone who is deaf to, or a child even to is deaf who is coming to disclose abuse. It's really difficult. I know that when I did experience abuse before I was 14, but at 14 was when I wanted to take my life, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, per se, in my emotional falling apart. That at that point, that happened. Those thoughts happened, and the desire to take my own life was right after I was gang raped by group of boys that I knew, with the two girls helping watch me. They didn't abuse me, but they did watch. Um, so it took me 4 years to work through that. I did deal with depression, undiagnosed, I believe, straight from the womb, being being a lone twin, a surviving twin. Now my twin, she walks beside me, just on the other side of the veil, and I know that she's always with me in spirit. But being physically alone, being born physically alone, it's and knowing that she was supposed to be with me. That was hard to deal with. That I still have rough days from that. But
Mhm.
there's something I would like to. I'm going to read in just a minute, but I want to share. I want to share something in regards to um, stressors. Now we know there's different types of stress. Even getting a good job, having something wonderful happen, having a new home, having a wonderful place. If you've been homeless and you've got your own, you've got your own apartment or whatever now, that's a positive stress. And then we have the negative stress that all the bad things happen that affects our bodies. We're stressed out. I mean, it can be storms, it can be natural disasters. But then there's toxic stress, and that comes from the repeated traumas of child abuse as well. And and it can come from other areas, but we're talking child abuse and the mental health connection. Um, in what the toxic stress does, it puts us, in chronic stress, and it damages and affects areas of the brain, and it actually changes what's going on in our brain. It changes different areas of the brain. Um,
Mhm.
and then we have, our physical ailments. A lot of survivors do. It has been tracked back to that do have fibromyalgia. I'm one of those. I have fibromyalgia, but I've also gotten some relief from that. Just a little bit of relief. I still have a lot of days of pain, but there's
Yeah.
something called myofascial release technique that an amazing PT in Mary Esther actually did a study a couple of summers ago, and I was blessed to be part of that study. And Melanie Broom, she's absolutely fantastic. And I want to read something, and I have to read it. And I don't know, we're not doing scripted uh, scripted shows anymore, but this is something that I have to read because it's something that actually was very, very powerful when I was first in therapy, when I was seeing a weekly therapist. And I started my healing journey. My world literally collapsed when I was in my mid 30s, and I was working in patient care at that time, and I had to eventually leave. One of my nurses that I worked under, she looked at me that day. I just walked in the office, and she says, "Are you okay?" And I'm thinking to myself, and my mouth is saying yes, and my head, I could see it was going no, and I literally crumbled. And that's
Mhm.
when she helped me to make the call to CASA, and start therapy. But
Mhm.
this is actually, it's they say it's a quote, but it's actually part of something, a book that Portia Nelson wrote called "There's a Hole in My Sidewalk: The Romance of Self-Discovery," and this really was powerful, so powerful. It's chapter 1 of my life. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It still takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault, and it still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down a different street. And that's by Portia Nelson. There's a hole in my sidewalk. It's just really, really powerful. And I had to get, I had to get a copy of that. I have my counselor copy that for me so I could carry that with me because it just felt very powerful. As
It is.
Okay,
Yes.
we don't see the holes we keep falling in, and for me, I experienced repeated abuse, various people, but it was a very powerful piece. So I just, I felt moved to share that. I hadn't, sought that out or planned to share it when I was getting ready for the show, but it was something that just hit my heart, and I'm like, I hope it resonates with somebody out there. Now the mental health by numbers of 1 in 5, and I am 1 in 5. My name is Lee. I am 1 in 5. And my story, let's see if we get that there. My story is not over yet.
That's right.
That's important. It's just, I look at that, I've had that for over a year, probably 2 years now, maybe. But it's very powerful. Awesome. It's a powerful reminder of how far I've come, how strong I am, and how much crap I have waded through. And for me, I needed help. I couldn't start that journey alone. And some people are able to do that alone. And that's absolutely fantastic. And for me, I did not want to take any meds, but I did end up taking an antidepressant because I was so far down in the abyss that there was absolutely not a spark of light. Mm-hmm. And the particular medication my doctor gave me, actually, it usually takes a couple of weeks or so to start working within your body, but in a week's time, I was seeing light, and it was just absolutely amazing.
That's awesome.
But it's just really difficult, and for a long time, when 14 to 18, I did want to take my own life, and I was blessed. The only thing that stopped me was being blessed with being pregnant with my son, who just turned 41. And I'm like, I'm old, but I'm so incredibly proud of him, of the young man that he has become, not only the young man he has become, but the father, the dad that he is, and where he is in life. He's just amazing. He is my world, and he's blessed me with 5 amazing grandchildren, 19 years old down to 3. So it's just pretty awesome. So those thoughts, those suicidal ideations, they stopped when I found out I was pregnant. That was it. It was like, boom, it was gone. It dissolved, gone, boom. And I know it's not that easy for so many others out there. In the mental health counseling that I sought, I ended up seeing a counselor again for some compound grief the last couple of years, and we just closed my case. He retired from the agency I was going to that he was at, and but we were able to close my case. I discussed a lot of other past issues there with him and found some more healing. And
That's
there's a
awesome.
book that I found out I brought one day because it was really interesting, and I had to show him. And as I showed him this book and we talked about it, he shared with me that he had actually seen this doctor, Bessel van der Kolk, and I've never heard it pronounced, so I really pray that I'm saying it correctly or close to. It's called The Body Keeps the Score: Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. And this is the book. It's what it looks like.
That's cool.
There you
I've
go.
heard of it.
But it's really,
Yeah.
there's a lot of general knowledge in there, but there's also a lot of clinical stuff, which for me, being the daughter and granddaughter of nurses and having worked in the medical field at one point, I can get a lot of that. I can grasp that pretty well, but it's not a book that I can read overnight and just,
No.
I read it in piece by piece and just kind of process what I've read and take a while. So
Yeah.
it's really, it's really hard. It's a difficult journey for so many of us. And,
Mhm.
it's just, we support each other, as survivors. And there are a lot of issues that are also, like you touched on the drugs, Laurie, and things like that. There are a lot of other things that are common with those who are living with any mental illness, whether it be depression, the PTSD, which, I had this. I also had, I had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder very early on in my therapy. That was, that was in the 90s. So, but that was something that can be worked through and that you can heal from once you do the work. And I've done that. And it's not something that I really
That's awesome.
understood to begin with. I thought, oh, BPD? No, that's not me. No, I don't have that. No. I think personality disorder. But it's, when I learned more about it, I understood it better, and it was related to all the trauma that I had survived through.
Yeah.
So that's, I still deal with depression. I still deal with PTSD. And like the body keeps the score. This book, there's the body memories. We have some memories from some of us. We deal with this differently. Some of us have, we remember all the abuse. Others remember bits and pieces. Others don't remember anything in their head wise, but their body keeps the score. The body remembers. It remembers. And it's powerful to really read that and to understand a lot more of where I've been as a survivor. So, if you can get that book, if you're able to read something like that, I highly recommend it, because, I'm not even halfway through it, and I'm going to be going backwards again and reading some more.
Yeah.
But it's a powerful book. It really is.
That's cool.
It's hard.
Looks like
As you mentioned, the group therapy. That was something that, it's great when it works for, for someone. It's just groups really didn't work for me. I needed, I did better one-on-one. We were going to have me try, do a small group, but that just never happened. And actually, I'm not really comfortable. I wasn't really comfortable at the time doing that. Excuse me.
And that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, we're all on, as survivors, we're all on, healing, those of us that are healing at the point that we're ready to approach that, we're ready to do some work, we're ready to acknowledge, okay, it comes with acknowledging that we were abused, assaulted, raped, lived through domestic violence, but it's acknowledging that, and then being ready to say, okay, I need some help. I need some help to work on this and to get through this, Some people can just put it away. Some people can just, okay, it happened. Let's lock it up and be done with it.
Yeah.
But really, it's like, it hit me straight on up in the face like an Arctic storm, and there was no going around it, under it, over it. I had to go through it. I had to.
Yeah.
Okay, you're
Right.
here.
Yeah.
So it was a really, really difficult journey. And at one point, my beautiful mama, while she was in the nursing home from her stroke, um, she looked at me and she said, "I don't know why you had to have such a hard life." And I'm like, I don't either. And at that point, I still didn't understand. But what I've survived and the strength that I have now, that I have today, is something that I can share with others, and you too, Laurie. It's like we can share this strength from our CSA and the abuses that we survived and the traumas. We can share that. And for me, I also have been sober 27 years since January 1st.
So proud of you.
Year
Very
birthday.
proud of
Very
As an
proud.
alcoholic, it was rough, but it was a way of hiding in the pain, numbing the pain, just getting it to go away. But every time you're not drinking, every time you're sober, that just comes right back. It's not going to go away and stay away.
Yeah.
But I had to be ready, and I had to hit my bottom. And that bottom, actually, it happened when I was doing a lot of self-harm. There was a lot of self-harm, a lot of cutting. And I know it hurt my mama's heart. It hurt my mama's heart to see me going through what I was going through. But that's when I called my therapist and said, "Hey," because Sandy would always ask me, do you need to go in? Do you need to go to the hospital? And I'm like, no, but I will let you know. So she trusted me on that. And, eventually I picked up the phone and I said, "Hey, I need to go. I need to go to the hospital." So she set that up for me and said that they'll be waiting for you. So all I had to do was get a ride and go down to the hospital. And I did that. I did that for 2 weeks down there. And then I went into a rehab center for almost 3 months. And yeah, it was really, really difficult.
I believe it.
And a lot of things when I got sober, it's like we had speakers. We would have regular speakers. And I can't remember if they came once a month but they came on a regular basis. And there was one woman there who came and shared her story and her experience, her strength, her hope. And she said it's going to be hard. We're sitting basically in a circle, and then there was a speaker, and I was sitting next to someone who, and I won't share any names, but it was another woman. And all of a sudden, as the speaker shared that she had survived and she had survived incest, it was like my body just got so sick, and I thought I was going to vomit all over the floor. And I grabbed this person's hand, and I think she actually absorbed some of what I was feeling, because we shared afterwards. She said she felt it. She said, "I felt what you were going through." And it was powerful, and I'm grateful that she was there. But I kind of wish I had a little bit more advance notice about the topic, of the speaker. But that was my body remembering. I didn't remember a lot, tiny bits and pieces, but my body, it remembered, and it remembered like a volcano erupting. That's the only what I can connect it to. It was like Mount Vesuvius just going, and that was it. It was horrible.
It's awful.
So, once you're sober or you're clean, as an addict, it's time to start dealing with the crap that comes up, and it's not always easy. So there was a lot of journaling, a lot of talking with the counselors, um, but I am very grateful for that part of my journey, because it helped me to start dealing with this mess. Um, and you mentioned we all heal differently. We heal in our own time. There is no time frame, like you said.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
some of us will be, there are things that we may be healing from for the rest of our lives. Or, some people survivors do get to a point where it's like, hey, I'm okay. Everything's great. Now I can, continue moving forward. I can continue to move forward and be support to other survivors. Excuse me. Excuse me. Um, but, I still deal with the PTSD. I feel bad for my son, who was in high school at the time. We were in a grocery store, and I got glared at by a couple of people who were down the other end of the aisle in the food store, because they didn't know what was going on with me. But I sort of kind of lost it, in a sense that my son stepped behind me. I mean, innocent enough, it's like, and without thought, without taking a breath. It's like I reached around, I grabbed took his hand, his arm, part of him, like, and I brought him out in front of me, and I said, "I told you, never stand behind me. Don't do that. Please don't do that." I was triggered so badly, because I was assaulted from behind at one point, and
Yeah.
that just really set that emotion, that it triggered me so badly. And
Yeah.
apparently I was loud enough for these people down the other end to look, and it's like, one of them was an older person, and an older man, and they just kind of turned and they looked at me. It's like, and I'm like, and I told my son, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I said, I told you, please don't stand behind me. And when I tried to go to college,
That's hard.
I don't remember, because I dissociated a lot for a long time. Um, I always had to take the chair and sit up against the wall by the door,
Mhm.
because I've got to be by that exit. Something happens, I'm out of boom. I'm
Got to be able to get out. Yeah.
and that's true for positional.
Mhm.
Had to be by the door, had to have my back to the door, and some of the other students, well, or most of them in the class, I mean, kind of looked, and it's like, but that's what I needed to do, and I did it. I let the instructor know ahead of time, if this happens, I've got to be by the door. I've got to have my back. I've got to be able to see everything and everyone. It's reaction to the trauma, and you be prepared. Something's going to come at me. I'm going to be prepared this time.
Mhm.
We have this fight or flight response
Yes.
that
Yeah.
kicks in when we experience things like violence, abuse, or things, or rapes, and sometimes neither one of those kick in. And what kicks in is we freeze.
Mhm.
We just completely frozen in place, and that has happened. So that has happened multiple times to me, and it's like, I didn't run,
Yeah.
I didn't fight, I didn't do anything. It's my fault. No, it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It wasn't my fault. But you freeze, and it's and that's okay. However we respond is how we need to respond in the moment, and it's never our fault. And there's a lot of things that we learn on our journey to healing, and
Mhm.
I'm grateful for where I am today. I really am. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, it deeply
Yes.
affected me. With mental health struggles,
Mhm.
and it took me a long time to be able to share that publicly, and to be able to share that on an open forum.
Mhm.
Like on social media, it's like, we're allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable, and
Mhm.
a lot of people won't do that, and that's okay. That's okay. They can't
Yeah.
do that. Um,
That's right.
but know that they are supported. You are supported. Whatever you do or don't choose to do, that's your journey, your choice,
That's right.
your healing, and it's that's where things are. And like I said, I'm grateful to be where I am today, and do what I can do and just be there to support others. But it deeply affects us. It deeply
Mhm.
affects us well into our adult years.
Yeah,
Well into the adult years, a long time.
yeah. These things are hard, and
Yeah.
um, all of us, like everybody's different, like we were saying. So, people are affected differently by these types of trauma or abuse and things like that. But the issue is that it does affect the brain, it affects the body, it affects our soul, our spirit. I know, like we were talking, and Donna was talking about, things that we can do to help ourselves, and things that many survivors of abuse and trauma do to, to enjoy life, and actually start to enjoy who we are as people. And that's just finding out what you really, what a person likes, what a person wants to do, you know. Um, like, like Donna and Lee both love photography. And so, walking in nature and taking photos and of these beautiful scenic, you know, areas where they can get into nature and surround themselves. It's very peaceful. I really enjoy music. Music's huge for me. And I love the guitars and strings. So I'm learning the guitar right now. And this kind of stuff can be very, very helpful to have something good in our lives that we enjoy doing. If you like there's people that love to draw. I can't draw. I can draw stick figures, like little stick people. I really can't. I don't even try because it's just terrible. I have tried in the past to do some painting and drawing stuff. I'm not very good at it. But some people, it doesn't matter if you're good at it, and that's the issue. I'm not very good at guitar either. Otherwise, I'd play a song for you. It's because I enjoy it. So it's not
That's
about.
what matters.
Yeah, it's not about that I'm not trying to be the world's greatest guitarist here. I'm actually enjoying the learning process of learning all this stuff.
Stick figures, that's me. Trees with no leaves, I can do those. Those are great. Yeah. And photography is awesome. I've loved that since I was a kid.
Me too.
Yeah,
Art is
I
a
do. I
powerful
enjoy it.
healing tool. It's a powerful healing tool. And set me down even now when I have a really, really, I'm dealing with, about a depression. It's bad, and I just I grab some crackers, and I go down to the local duck pond, the little park, the duck pond. And as soon as you start walking on the path and you step on the grass, it's like they all come running at you. And it's like, and I'm like, oh my goodness. It's great. I sit there, I sit on the ground with the crackers open, and I've got like 30 ducks wrapped around me. There's one shy one behind me the last time. But it's like I'm laughing like a little kid. And I don't care who listens. I don't care who thinks what, because it's not about them. This is me. It's ducks. It's a great day. I was there 15 minutes the last time, and I mean, my spirit was just lifted. I was clear up to the sun. I was, felt so much better. But
awesome.
That is.
So we got to do art, nature, the ocean. For some people, it's a hike in the woods, and which is awesome too. For me, it's a connection to nature and art and animals.
Yeah,
that are powerful healing they have for me. So whatever works best for each one of us, do it for you. Do it because you matter. You matter. You are important.
That's right.
And if you're feeling down, you are having a really bad time, reach out to somebody. Just reach out.
Yeah.
There's the National Suicide Hotline, and you call them. Just call them. They're there to listen, and can refer you if need be. And for those in the LGBTQ community, if for youth who need somebody to talk to, and you don't want to call that line, there's the Trevor Project, and they are an incredible resource.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, that's right. It's just knowing that there are people that do care. And, as survivors of trauma and abuse, especially abuse, sometimes, or bullying, they just feel like, nobody cares, and they don't realize that there are people that really do care. But unless you make that phone call, they can't help you. So you have to reach out. And that's where I started at the age of 42 years ago now, realizing that, hey, nobody even knows I'm struggling with these issues. Nobody even knows that I'm coming home at the end of the day after my work day wanting to take my own life because of the trauma that I suffered. So I need to reach out. I need to make a call. I need to talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Because nobody knew that I was struggling with all of this stuff. My husband knew, but he was terminally ill. He was pretty sick, and he really, wasn't. He didn't know the depth, really, of the issues. He knew what I'd gone through, but he didn't realize the depth of the PTSD and the depression. So this is it. A lot of times people around us don't know that we're struggling, and that we really do need help. And sometimes even if you say, oh, I'm struggling, I'm not doing so well, it may slip by them. And they may just be like not listening, actively listening to you, or just not thinking how serious of an issue this is for you. So if you're listening to this right now and you are struggling, you make a phone call. You stick it out. Lee made a call. I started getting help. I actually went online to do it instead of making a phone call. But I told myself, and I made myself a promise, that if I ever got that low again, ever, after the age of 42 when I decided to live and not die, I was like, I am making a phone call. I am not going to be destroyed by my past. I am not going to be destroyed by the abuse. I mean, it almost destroyed me. Because, it did destroy part of me. But the thing is I thought, what? No, I win this fight. I win because I'm going to get help. And to me, that's the best, the best outcome from the abuse and the trauma that I suffered is to actually stay alive and do well. And do the self-care and do the mental wellness stuff and do the things that I need to do to take care of myself and have a good life, because we all deserve that. We all
yes,
do.
we do.
It takes our participation though. Somebody else can't do that for me. Lee and Donna can't do that for me. I have to make those decisions. It's my body, it's my life. They can't do that for me. They can be there to support me in what I'm doing. But I'm the one that needs to actually say, oh, I need help, man. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it's so important. It's really important. Do not be destroyed by your past. Don't be destroyed by the abuse and the abuse. It's not okay with what happened to you if you're a survivor of abuse. I was talking about that today on my own show. It's not, it's not okay what they did to you. It's not okay what they did to us. It's not okay. But the thing is, we're stuck with it. We're stuck with ourselves too. And that's where I started to realize, like, hey, no, I didn't deserve any of that. And I love myself. And I do love myself. And I learned how I'm learning how to care for myself, how to do these things that I need to do to take care of myself. And it's a learning process. Like Lee was saying, it's, we just keep working at it, on our journey. But we have to do the work. So I have to do the work. Kate Mitchell, we all here know who Kate Mitchell is. I always talk about her because she used to be a psychotherapist helping survivors of abuse and trauma, and also a foster parent to many survivors of abuse, young youth that were abused, right? So she's done a lot of work in the field, and she would say, you're going to make it, mate. She's from Australia. She's like, you're going to make it. She goes, because you're doing the work. You're doing the work. Because I literally did the work. I'm talking years of work to get where I am today. To be able to say, things are pretty good in my life. We all struggle with all sorts of things, and life is a struggle.
Life is a struggle.
Yeah. Like we've talked about on shows before, all three of us have had health issues this last few years that could have just discouraged us to the point to say, we're not doing anything anymore, just giving up, it's like, no,
No.
we're fighting this thing. We're gonna do the best we can with what we have, and that's all we can do in this life.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. So
And
it's
sometimes people just need someone to listen to them.
yeah, that's right. And just to know that somebody cares, right?
Yes.
Because especially survivors of abuse, they, grow up with no care, no love, normally. Sometimes there's somebody that they were close to, like a grandparent, or or maybe the other parent, not abused by both parents. They may have experienced some love, but the issue is just as a survivor of abuse, quite often isolated, and just feeling that nobody cares. And there are people that do care, but it's just having somebody to talk to and knowing that somebody does care. So that's why I make that phone call. If you're struggling and you don't think you can do it any further, you're just like, I can't do another 5 minutes. And like Donna says, wait 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Give it 5 minutes, man.
Yeah. You can get through the next 5 minutes. You can get through anything.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I mean, Lee's still sitting here after years of suicidal ideation. I'm still here after years of suicidal ideation. And I mean, seriously, sitting in my car at the edge of the Grand Canyon, just waiting to step on the gas. I was just trying to convince myself to push the gas pedal because I'd be over the edge quick. I mean, I used to live in the Grand Canyon. And it was like, I am still here. And I'm so thankful to be here. So thankful, so grateful to the people who have helped me along the road. There have been a lot of people that have helped me. Just the support, just knowing that people care, right?
By surviving, we beat them. We won.
You win.
By surviving and thriving, we have won. We are here,
right.
We are here, and we are thankful.
That's right. We win. And
We win.
Yes.
to get through this life, you're a survivor. This life is hard, and people come through so many things. That's why we cover so many topics. Because people struggle in life through so many different things. Really, to live this life is to be a survivor. So
That's true.
we can hold our heads high, and we can stand proud and tall, because we're survivors, and we made it, and this is it. We're doing good. So that's what we want for other people. That's why we keep sharing our messages, really. This month being Mental Health Wellness Awareness is Mental Health Awareness Month. We're going to be talking basically about that. And next Wednesday will be that's our Wellness Wednesday, and of course we'll incorporate this Mental Health Month. So we'll be doing that next Wednesday. We also have a mental health webinar workshop coming up at the end of the month. So we'll be sure and give you some details as soon as we sort of solidify everything. But we're going to have speakers come on, and it's going to be an amazing event where you can sign up to attend, and it's free, and there'll be lots of great speakers, not just ourselves. So it's going to be wonderful. We appreciate the support. Like anybody who's watching and listening to us now, we're listening somewhere on Anchor FM or all over the place. We're all over the place.
We're everywhere.
We really appreciate your support. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to what we have to say. We're three women that really care, and we really want to make a difference in this world. What we want. We touch on so many different topics. In the last few months, it's sort of been child abuse related, but all through the year, it will change, and it's based on what's happening in that particular month that are going on. So, I mean, we could be talking about bullying, we could be talking about suicide prevention, we could be talking about homelessness, we could be talking about drug addiction, any number of things, right? And so we appreciate everybody who's listening, staying tuned, sharing our work. We appreciate it. get involved. Just remember, like everybody who doesn't know, all of my books that I write, that I've written, One Child Abuse Survivor to Another, The Journey, A Life of Death Redemption, and The Vita Juvies, those books that I wrote, all of the proceeds are going to AU4H Community Kids Watch Program.
Yes.
And it's in memory of Anson Stover, who died from the abuse that he suffered horrifically in Donna's area, in Pennsylvania there, in December. So that's in his honor. It's in his memory. And so I'm so happy about that. Like, that just makes me so happy. So don't forget that my books, I don't make money off those books. I never have. I always donate the money for those books. And that's where it's going, to help stop and prevent child abuse. So get involved. You know, if you want more information on our Community Kids Watch program, you can get information from our website, and you can, hook up with us if you want to get involved. You don't have to. You can get involved in your own community, like where you live, right? And it's just so important, right? It really is, because for every child that we save from abuse, every child that gets saved from a life of abuse, it has a better chance of not developing these mental illnesses and having this horrible situation as an adult. We need to save children from abuse. We need to stop and prevent child abuse. We need to, first of all, save their lives. I mean, good God, children are dying. So this is the issue. Whatever it is, get involved. And if you don't want to get involved, I always say it because, sometimes people are just, oh, it's all about our organization. The issue is even if you don't want to get involved with us, get involved with somebody who's doing something to make a difference in this world.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there's a lot of good groups out there doing great work, and there's a lot of great advocates out there. We know a lot of advocates ourselves.
Yes, we do.
We know tons and tons of advocates. But the thing is, and they're all doing great work for their own, whatever they support. That's wonderful. And the issue is just get involved. You don't have to get involved with us, but if you do, hey, we're glad to have you join us. But if you don't, get involved with somebody who's doing something to make
just be a voice.
That's right. Absolutely. All right. Well, is that it, ladies, for tonight?
That's a wrap.
Wrap it up. Okay. So thanks everybody for being here. We appreciate it. We'll be back next Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday. Be sure to tune in because that's going to be really good. We're going to be, of course, tying in the mental wellness, mental health. But the thing is we really want you to join us for that one. Absolutely. Yes. So have a great night, everybody. And, peace.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Everybody. Thank you for joining us.